everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is my Forbes colleague, money and politics reporter, Kyle Khan-Mullins. Kyle, thanks so much for joining me.
Always great to be here, Brittany. Thanks for having me.
You were combing through some South Carolina real estate records, and you found that it seems like Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent lost six figures in 1 month. What documents specifically did you find to lead you to that conclusion?
Yeah, so I've been working for a little bit of time now on a net worth valuation for Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. We do this for all the cabinet nominees and for all the cabinet members, and so we're working our way down the list. There seems to be a lot of news these days. It keeps pulling me off the path, but I keep coming back to it. And while I was looking at some other South Carolina real estate for Scott Bessent, I noticed that the one LLC that's controlled by him seems to have bought and then sold a house within about a month of each other. And it's just that one house that was bought and then sold for $100,000 less the second time. So in other words, it looks like he lost $100,000 in that very quick turnaround real estate transaction. That's our preliminary read of the situation, at least.
So first, let's talk about the house in question. What details are known about that?
So the house in question, it is in a really nice neighborhood in Charleston. It's a Lakeview, lakefront house, 7,100 square feet. It's got a pool. It's got a bathhouse. The real estate listing talks about Gothic architecture, a mix of English and Italian Gothic architecture. I'm not an architecture buff. I don't know the difference, but I'm sure someone does. And this was a house that it looked like, presumably, the Bessent and his husband, John Freeman, would be moving into after they sold their previous home in Charleston for over $18 million in February. And so they had listed that one a couple months before. Presumably they were looking for a smaller place to go. And they had also just bought a house in D.C. So Bessent could commute to work as the Treasury Secretary.
And I'm no architecture buff either, but it sounds like a beautiful house. And the price tag, I would hope it's a beautiful house. It's a multi-million-dollar home, but it lost about $100,000 in value from January to February. Talk to us about that. How much was it worth in January when it was bought, and how much was it sold for in February?
Yeah, so we see this entity that Bessent declares on his disclosure. It's called Palmetto 2020 Trust LLC, and we see that this entity, this LLC, the Shell Corporation, bought this house on January 13th, and it was for $4.85 million. So this is a nice house. And then on February 25th, so a little over a month later, that same LLC turns around and sells the house to a different LLC, which we're not naming because it contains the address of the home, and we're not in the business of publishing people's addresses. But they would turn around and sold the house to that other LLC for $4.75 million. In other words, $100,000 less.
And I'm imagining for you, this is what kind of made it tricky, right? Seeing one LLC sell it to another LLC buy it. Is it normal to buy and sell homes via shell company? In your previous reporting, have you ever run into this?
Yeah, this is actually really, really common, especially in the line of reporting that I do. So I report on money and politics, and a lot of political figures, a lot of high net worth individuals. Basically, if you are somebody who exists in some sort of prominent space, or you're some sort of public figure, there's a good chance you probably bought your house through an LLC instead. The reason why is it kind of adds one layer of potential anonymity to these real estate records. Most real estate records in the United States are public and reasonably easily accessible. And so if someone is able to see the current owner of the home as an LLC, well, some people are just going to stop there. Now, some people, like reporters, are going to keep digging and try to figure out who's the owner of the LLC. And when you have a public disclosure like Scott Bessent does, then we can figure that out. But the short answer is there's nothing particularly nefarious about this. It's just a sort of one layer of separation, one layer of privacy that a lot of public figures try to take advantage of.
For sure, an added layer of privacy, but we're glad that you did the digging. And after you did the digging, you figured that there are two potential reasons as to why the flip happened in such a short amount of time. And one possibility you lay out in your reporting is that he suffered virtually no loss because it was essentially a transfer. So walk us through down that possibility.
Yeah, so this second LLC that Palmetto 2020 Trust LLC sold the house to in February, it was only incorporated in February in South Carolina. And so there's a chance, We don't know. But there's a chance this LLC is just also owned by Bessent and Freeman, and this transfer between these two LLCs didn't actually mean anything. It's just a nominal transfer, just moving money between different accounts. It's like moving money between your checking and savings account, moving a home between two different LLCs that you own. It's the rich people version. That's the first possibility. And so maybe they still own the home, and this is where they're planning on living in Charleston, as they also have a second home in D.C. that Bessent will be living and working from while he's Treasury Secretary.
So in this rich person version of moving money from your checking and savings, he didn't lose any money. He didn't lose that $100,000 in this transfer, correct?
No, but it's kind of unclear, because if you're moving the house between LLCs that you own, which I have seen other folks do before, normally there's not a sale price that's associated with that. And I'm not sure why the sale price, even if there were a sale price, I'm not sure why it would have differed between the two periods. That's odd. So that's why we're not 100% sure that that's what happened here.
And then what's the other possibility? So one, he transferred it. The other possibility is he flipped it. Explain.
Yeah, absolutely. The second possibility is that he and his husband bought the house and then got cold feet for whatever reason. They decided they didn't like it. I'm not sure why. And they turned around and sold it to somebody else who was also a high net worth individual who was conscious about privacy. That other person founded an LLC, purchased it through that LLC, and bada bing, bada boom, they got a $100,000 deal on a house, it seems.
And so usually for the everyday American, if you lost six figures in 1 month, I mean, that's a pretty devastating blow. But what about in Scott Bessent's case? Will this impact his bottom line? What does that look like?
Yeah, so the median American net worth is around $193,000. So if you just lost $100,000 in a month, that would be a pretty rough hit for most American families. That's not the case for Scott Bessent, though. Bessent is a former hedge fund manager. He declares hundreds of millions of dollars worth of assets on his financial disclosures. No one likes to lose $100,000, but I don't think he's going to sweat it too much. I'll put it that way.
And has he flipped real estate before? What does his portfolio look like?
Absolutely. The Wall Street Journal actually had a really good exploration of a lot of his real estate transactions in the past. He's bought and sold over $100 million worth of real estate in the last 30 years. And what they found is that he has taken losses all the time. Sometimes he's made money, sometimes he's lost money, but he does not shy away from taking a loss. Just recently, he sold a Manhattan condo this is back in 2021. He sold it at a $4 million loss compared to what he bought it for just a couple years before. So that should show you, yeah, he may have lost $100,000 on the South Carolina property. He's lost 40 times that on a Manhattan condo just a couple years ago. So again, not sure this is going to be a really big hit to his bottom line.
Sounds like just a drop in the bucket, but I appreciate your reporting nonetheless. Kyle Khan-Mullins, thanks for joining me.
Always great to be here, Brittany. Thanks.